All right, so we are continuing from where we left off. Okay, a few people are still joining. So let's wait for them. All right, so let's continue from where we left off. Like you said, we want to talk about something that I think all of you know about. Okay, and it's very important: cadastral records and land information. So GIS and cadastral records. We need to be able to keep data on land records for obvious reasons. Are you okay? For obvious reasons. It's very important. Land is our source of everything: food, fiber, everything, recreation. We need to habitate. We need to sleep somewhere. So land is important, and so we can talk about the land economy. Are you okay? Etc. And I think without even talking too much, we all know the issues we have in Ghana concerning land, and whether SMD has been very good, Lands Commission has been good at what they do since Kwame Nkrumah. I don't know. I don't want to turn this into a political talk. This is just I'm just saying it out of things because I bought a piece of land and I struggled, with the owners. I had to pay extra just to keep it. Okay, why should that happen? And I don't know. Someone needs to explain to me. And normally it's because the ownership cannot be like, we don't have a trusted system. Are you okay? It's happening. A lot of people have gone through a lot. Double sale of land. Obviously, we all know that land is owned by the family and the stool in Ghana. So that could also contribute to that. And then, of course, thank God that there's the establishment of the stool lands. What did they call it? There's the secretariat. Are you okay? Land secretariats have been actually been established. Are you okay? Customary land secretariat. So the customary land secretariats are supposed to establish a database. Okay, customary land secretariats. Because what Lands Commission is doing is that they are only going to be intermediaries. Are you okay? Or try to kind of play a certain central role where they can register your land and etc. Okay. So we can all share ideas because most of you work there. I'm sure one or two people work at Lands Commission, but it's not really about you working at Lands Commission. It's about knowing the state of the art. What should they be doing? Are you okay? It's very important to make access to information very easy for all. Then we know exactly where we are heading towards. So let me just go in a step-by-step fashion, then we can all get somewhere. Okay, like I said, we need to recognize the need for land, and we can go on land planning, infrastructure, environmental protection, emergency, everything we are doing is on land. I mean, you don't need to be, you can't overemphasize on the need to have, land information. Okay, you can't overemphasize on that. So There we go. Someone is talking, so I have to mute all of you. Okay. So we can go on and on and on and on. Cadastral records, they are the basis. The cadastre is really, the ownership information. So land ownership information is actually captured in the cadastre. Are you okay? So you can just have a piece of, a site plan showing some boundaries, but without the information, the ownership information associated with it, that is no cadastre for you. Are you okay? But then it is the basis for the so-called land market. Remember that the economy has everything to do with what the different markets, market segments of it. There are different market segments, and we talk about the land markets. Are you okay? All right. So development, economic activity, everything depends on the record. If you have the record, then you can have, a smooth, operation and exchange and transactions can take place for development. So if you don't have proper cadastral records, then you are in trouble. I remember Lands Commission, SMD got, one of the offices got bent, and I don't know the implication of that. Someone also told me that you can actually, challenge any piece of land in Accra, and the person will be found wanting. We all heard of recent issue where the Nigerian High Commission was, pulled down. I mean, seriously, a whole, High Commission is pulled down. So your house, you can imagine how secure it is. So we need to look at the issues. They bound around legal issues, and that's where the lawyers come in. And today people are doing surveying and law all together. Are you okay? Because it's very important. Okay, so here using GIS, we are able to relate the legal description of the property to coordinates-based systems. Are you okay? But that linkage requires some database. Are you okay? Which is the GIS. That's where GIS is coming in. Okay, we need to get to know exactly what we are talking about, the dimensions and extents of the owner, the parcel, and then be able to relate the legal information, because the legal information may be in the form of an indenture, are you okay, and other documents, transfer and other stuff. And so these are not necessarily, spatial. They don't have coordinates or anything, but they have to be linked. So then the technology comes in, very important. Is that okay? All right. Now, obviously, overlapping boundaries of adjacent parcels are a disaster. You don't want that. So I think we need to look at that. That can easily be achieved by enforcing topology. Are you okay? Complex nature of some attribute relations. Sometimes if you have a property, if you buy a flat, are you okay? How do we represent that? Okay. Then that's some kind of one-to-many relationship. The same piece of land is being owned by so many people, depending on the number of flats you have. Are you okay? So the concept of strata plans come in. I think some of you, have met this before, or probably have even drawn some and worked on some before. But we need to have a way of storing that in the system. Are you okay? So that is where, GIS comes in when it comes to land information. So land information systems are just GISs. Are you okay? But then their focus is on what? The piece of land. Okay, now we have all these attributes to store. If someone says they own a property, this structure, then we don't have to just keep the documents alone. We need to also keep the pictures as well, and all that have to be stored. I put this in on purpose. Okay. All right. So yeah, so I think I've already talked about these structural surveys and stuff. They all kind of become an input. We can add that as an input into our system. All right. So of course, the cadastre we can look at it in terms of legal cadastre. I don't want to really talk about this because I think you will learn this in another area. But it's important to know that in GIS we need to know about it, the attributes that we are storing. That is where these things come in. Are you okay? So legal, fiscal, we need to understand the differences. Are you okay? All right. So every land has what we call a bundle of rights, vested in it. So when you take a particular piece of land, a bundle of rights that are vested in it, you can have what we call the chain of title. Who owns it? Who transferred it to this person? Are you okay? How does it revert back to the original owner, etc. So all that information needs to be kept, in a database. And when I say a database, we are talking about, the the GIS, because GIS can be looked at totally as what a database. Are you okay? All right. So now all these, are attributes, the functions of legal cadastre, all that we need to consider that in building a database. Are you okay? All right. At the end of the day, it's about ownership and right to land. All that has to be, captured in there. Okay, so we can go on and on. I think these presentations were a bit overloaded, but yes, I'll just touch on the ones that I need to actually touch on. Fiscal taxes, yeah. How do we, tax land and etc. And yeah. All right, so an LIS is a system that provides the means to acquire, manage, retrieve, analyze, display, and land records. So that's GIS. So an LIS is a GIS. Don't be thinking LIS. Don't scare anybody with that. It's a GIS. The focus rather is on the land, the parcel. The parcel is the unit. Are you okay? When it comes to that. Okay, so people, discuss is an LIS, a GIS. I think it's not necessary. Geography is wider, far wider than a piece of land. I agree. Goes further than that. Okay, so we need to recognize that at the core of it is a cadastre. This is I think I'm overemphasizing, okay, on some of these things. All right, great. So yes, the parcel is a basic spatial representation, as we said, and then we can look at all sort of skills when it comes to that. LIS are giants on parcels. I think I've talked about that. So software, people, hardware, approaches is really methods. We always remember that. Okay, methods. Need to appreciate what that is. And so on and so forth. Okay, so I think some of these things are just repetitions. I'm just skipping over them. Or there needs to be an indexing system. In fact, what an indexing system allows you to do is quickly search very fast. Okay, so there should be a way to index our parcels. There should be unique IDs for every parcel, and there should be a way to also store and archive data, because you can imagine the amount of data when it comes to land. Okay, the documents. Okay, the ones that are lost in coded. I mean, seriously, it's a whole lot. So the storage should be important. It's very important for us to work on that and employ a very effective storage system. Okay. Whether we are using a cloud system, a local system, we need to have a nice way, a better way of doing an effective way. All right, great. So yeah, we can talk about multi-purpose land information system, which is an alternative to multi-purpose cadastre, etc. But they are digital systems, GISs. Are you okay? And at the end of the day, parcels then becomes, a very important role in it. We shouldn't forget about the geodetic reference framework, okay, which I think it was a whole project in Ghana at a point, a company was working on that so that we have a common and accepted geodetic reference framework. Are you okay? So it's very important for us to appreciate the components of a land information system, more so a multi-purpose one. In other words, we can keep more about the land than let me just say fiscal and then legal. Okay, so please I think you learn more about land tenure and then cadastral. There's a whole course on that, cadastral surveying also. Yes, so please take note of that. You should be able to capture information from an indenture, for example, and then store it in your GIS. Okay. So the challenge is whether you can actually interpret this indenture. Only a few of you probably I don't know who can and who can't. I don't know your experiences, but there's a lot of stuff that go on an indenture. Okay, that can be extracted and be used as what an attribute information in an LIS. Okay, so that is what I wanted you to know. Obviously, I see here, as far as S&A of Accra, for say here, if I call the purchaser, so now the purchaser has to be stored. We need to know who is buying, who is owning it, extract that information. Okay, all right. So maybe the indentures have to be created from the LIS, the system, not the other way around. We shouldn't, because the indentures have been there for ages. You can imagine, this particular one we are looking at. I mean, if you look at the font, it tells you. But obviously, computers are new. Okay, so maybe it's about time we reverse the way indentures are being created so that we don't take an indenture and then put it into an LIS, but the LIS itself generates the indenture as a report. Are you okay? So these are things that we all have to look at. Okay, so you can now build tables that you join up. Are you okay? And link up with the map. Are you okay? We can decide to store site plans also as attributes. Like I think I already talked about that. Okay, so yes, there's a lot to it's all about understanding the whole idea of ownership. If you want to create a GIS to handle land information, you need to understand that there's a grantor, there's a grantee, okay, the person who is actually giving the land out, the person who's getting the land. There are different types of conveyancing and all these kind of. So you need to appreciate the terminologies. Then you can then implement your GIS based on that. Okay, then you don't have a lot of issues, and yeah, the date of purchase, the date that the so-called your rights will expire. Are you okay? If you buy a land that's actually being given to you for like 50 years, then when it expires, it has to go back to those who gave it to you, etc. So yeah, you can look at a whole lot depending on where you are. Some of the things you are seeing here are not based on Ghana stuff, but yes, there are different systems. These system land title is also coming to override some of these systems. Are you okay? And so yes, we need to be able to extract the attributes and then to use them in our GIS chain of title, like I said, etc. Okay, so yeah, that's that for LISs. Any question on this? Do you have any question? Question will be very nice on this one, since most of you are surveyors. Should we just move on? Or any question at all? LISs. Do you think that Ghana has really done well? Have we done ourselves a great service in terms of providing an information system, a land information system that meets our needs? Can we go online and say, I'm at Dodowa right now, where I am? I can almost verify that it's not for this chief. I mean, like, are we there? Are we using land information systems the way we are supposed to? Abraham is tempted to say something. Let's listen to Abraham. Yes. Abi.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah. With our land management system, I think
Yes.
we are not yet there, but if I could remember, Baumia commissioned commissioned a project, I think land
Yes.
evaluation services, lands commission to help with the data system. And it's a big step in improving our
Yes. Yes.
management system, but
Yes, I
there's
think
more
so.
work to do.
Yeah, that's true.
More
That's
work
true.
to do.
There is. There is.
Uh,
Yeah, you are right. You are
so,
right. We are trying. We are trying. And I don't know, someday we'll get there, right? But it's a shame
and also it's
when I have to sit under a tree with some chief who I don't even know, whether he's a chief or he's not, to just like ask me questions about a land that I've bought with land title. If I have to sit under a tree for the decision to make, is it for you and bring me some extra 1,000 cedis and that? I mean, like seriously, it's not good enough. You understand what I'm saying?
and also
But
it's also our attitude.
mhm.
The surveyors are also
Yes, yes,
problem that comes from us. You know, it's it's some of us that cause the confusion.
yes,
They do illegal plotting.
yeah, yeah,
There's so many stuff
yeah,
that's
yeah,
going
yeah,
on there,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
which
There are serious institutional challenges, but I think it's about time we name and shame. So in Ghana, everything you talk about that is even technical, it tends to become more political. Then we start talking about corruption, transparency, accountability. If we say we are holding every surveyor in lands commission, like if we are a nurse is there to check on everyone, people will get in trouble, serious trouble. Yes, you are right in what you are saying that. Yes. the people, and that's why GIS should look at not just the hardware, the software, the idea. GIS has been there for a long time, but let's look at it's not been effective there because the people, GIS, the people can destroy the system. Are you with me? So the components of GIS, one of them is the people, and there's people in Ghana, in Africa, the people, they destroy the system, not the hardware, not the software. Are you okay? The people themselves, they make sure it won't work. So I remember, as you said, yeah, Baumia went to Lands Commission. It's been like 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So, and we all know that he really likes the digitization agenda. Let's digitize. So it's up to Lands Commission to come up. I mean, if MPP loses the election, and then they're out of power, and then they kill that whole digitization idea, and in the next 10 years, we are still, can you imagine? The next 10 years, we are still marking time with all sort of, can we just get to a point where we can go online? Every person can just know this land is owned by the Odokwe family or by this tool, and no contention whatsoever. So I think we need to build the systems, and it's up to you guys. And that's why I'm happy that you are kind of upgrading yourself, which of course we can talk about that later on. Whether people even like the idea at all.
So the issue is, I think the issue is even more bigger than Lands Commission, because when Lands Commission solves that issue of data, it now comes down to the individuals, even with the chiefs, the
Yes.
chieftaincy issues. This person, this family claims this land is for them. This also family claims this land is
Yeah,
for
but
them.
AB, that is database. That is database technology for you. So is anything stopping you and I from creating a database that is reliable, that keeps families? Yeah. This Odokwe family is, all the families in Ghana. Can't we have a database for them? Can't we?
We can have a database for
We
them,
even
but
have
in
it, right?
some lands,
Yes.
yes, as of now, some families are, some big families are still. I think the last time I saw a document, over 60 years, they are still in court. The
This
whole
litigation.
family, and they are fighting over
But
some portion.
the last time I sat in a law class, immediately the lecturer identified me to be an engineer because I didn't. The law, the law is some way. The law is some way. It's not. You'll be shocked. A particular case that you expect that, this person, the plaintiff will lose or something like that, and then they will win. Then you ask them, he says he sued him under civil law, not under the law of. Just say law is something. Don't go to court. I advise you.
That one there is something. That
Don't
one
go to
there.
court. Yes, anything is possible. If the lawyer is good, they can always, get away with murder. Yes. And people have also been killed, or people have lost cases simply, not in the right way.
Because they didn't have
They
money.
have a good lawyer.
They didn't have a good lawyer.
They didn't have a good lawyer. That's what I really want to say. They had a good. The truth is that they are not guilty, but then they are guilty because they don't have a good lawyer. So all these are part of the mess, and there should be a cleanup. Anyway, JJ died this year, and so like it reminds us of all the things that have happened in the past. You know what I'm saying? And the corruption and everything. Let's put his life story aside, but we all have to sit down. It's more than the technology. You see, you are being taught the technology, but when you get out there, that is why when I'm teaching GIS, I tell the student that GIS is actually not the software. Don't be doing ArcGIS. That is not what GIS is about. It's about more than that. It's more than that. It gets political. You can take GIS to a company, they will boot you and your GIS outside the window, and they'll carry on with their operations. Are you okay? They don't care. Okay, anyway, so I think we are getting emotional, AB and I. But that is the whole thing. I mean, that's the whole thing. We need to implement systems to help us to decide, make decisions and, for the benefits for all of all. Are you okay? We need to do that so that we don't keep on, marking time. All right. So GIS can also be used in facilities management. I think we'll probably end on this one. We'll end the whole thing on this one. So facilities management is interesting. Are you okay? It's been there for ages. You know, people had a way of managing pavements, for example. Are you okay? Pavements, managing airports. How do I manage an airport? Are you okay? A building, the whole building as it stands there. Someone has to know which bulb needs to be replaced. You don't wait for the bulb to go off. Then you're like, oh, Mr. Kansi, can you come and fix the bulb? No, we don't do that. It's only, if, you know, people who are mediocre, who think in a certain shallow way, that thing that you have to wait for something to, you know, get spoiled before you fix it. Are you with me? So the building maintenance, of course, facilities management. Managing something means you are maintaining it somehow, you are keeping it. Are you all right? So GIS comes in when we want to actually unite, bring some of the things that we do in GIS, the overlay, some of the spatial analysis that we do in GIS. We want to bring it into the building. Are you with me? Because GIS only looks at that building there as a polygon. And meanwhile, there's a lot going on within the polygon. Are you okay? So when we talk about
Yes, sir.
facilities management and GIS, then we are trying to see how we can bring in, you know, link, you know, building information models with, you know, geographic information systems. Is that okay? All right. So yeah, that is what you are seeing in there. There's a lot that we can do. All right. Questions. Okay, geospatial analysis and visualization can be applied to business processes that occur inside buildings. So that's what I just said. Okay, it's possible to be able to look a little beyond the inside the building. It's very important to see inside the building what is happening inside the building. Extend the analysis that we do in there. Okay, because otherwise then we're dealing with just one polygon. Is that all right? Now, one of the things we can do is that we can actually do an analysis and then see the impact. Example will be doing some kind of energy, you know, analyzing the use of energy within the building. Are you okay? For example, if it's daytime, how many light bulbs do you switch on whilst it's day, we still have daylight? Are you okay? Now, GIS can do an analysis to see where the lights, you know, the sun's rays can reach within the building, things like that. In that case, you've gone right within. Okay, all right. Meanwhile, the traditional facilities management couldn't do those things. Are you okay? So it's very important for us to bring in the spatial analysis capabilities, okay, and then introduce it within the building. Are you okay? So that we can actually take advantage of it. One of the things that is important, some of the layers that you use in facilities management will be space use and then type definition. Are you okay? In other words, what is this area being used for? These, you know, the area colored, you know, violet or whatever they call it, mauve, green, light green. What is that area being used for, etc. We can use it for, you know, managing, you know, let me just say if you had companies that work in different areas, say if you're into mining, for example, then the areas that are given to you to mine is actually your lease areas. Are you okay? So the areas colored red and orange and all that, these could be the areas that you are doing some kind of exploration or some kind of mining. I'm using that as an example. So we should be able to keep that IOK for managing the facilities at multi-sites. IOK, we use the word multi-site is used. Okay, we can do that. We can also look at, I've already talked about this, property lease, the same as lease areas. IOK. All right, so that we can manage it, the activities that's happening in that area. We can look at security zones as well in terms of facilities management. Okay, so there are areas where, you know, high security level 1, security, maybe the red areas are security level 1. Maybe we shouldn't see any movement there. Are you okay? Or there shouldn't be a certain activity. We can do the overlay and then start, you know, doing some analysis. Okay, so yeah, we can do the security. We can also look at management zones as well. So management zone 1, management zone 2, that means that you have different managers looking at particular areas. I think we can look at it in terms of maybe ECG or maybe water supply. Are you okay? So that if there's an issue, you report to a particular, you know, office, and not just get to any other place, so that the issue can be handled. For management, reasons, effective management, we need to zone areas headed by different managers. Are you okay? All right. So asset locations, okay, if I have some tractors working in the bush, one is at Sankraga, another one is in Kumasi, another one is, how do I even, manage all my assets, are you okay, that are not, situated at the same location. So GIS allows us to manage these facilities without necessarily being at the same location. The assets may not be at the same location, but we should be able to still manage. Okay. All right. So now here, obviously look at this. This is, I think I talk a lot about mining, isn't it? Because I went there just to spend a few months, and so I'm just so excited about it. But it's not very environmentally friendly. Mining activities, they destroy the environment. It's very important. There's a lot of pollution as well. Okay, here you can see resource. I talked about gold as a resource. On the left hand side, you can see that we are trying to associate particular locations, with particular resource amounts. You see, gold ounces, 378,000 IOK ounces. So you know what is happening, at different sites. All right. So yeah, facilities management, look at that, these kind of things. You can look at evacuation areas, okay, in case there is a need to evacuate. All right, which are the areas that we should, what's the routes that we should take? Okay, so we can keep that as also a layer and say these are evacuation areas, these are the places that you can be. I mean, a typical example is when you go to, I went to a hospital in Accra somewhere where you could see assembly points. I mean, that's the first time I've seen it, because I've only seen it outside Ghana where they have an assembly point in case there's fire. I don't know about you guys at your workplace, but that is the same thing that goes on with evacuation areas. And if you live at a place like Japan where there's always earthquake, they know exactly where to run to when there's an earthquake. But in Africa, I think we are on holiday, the sun is always up and it's fun down here. So there are things we don't really take a lot of interest in. It's all right, but then we need to know that it's important to have this as a layer which feeds into your facilities management. Are you okay? All right. So yes, navigable routes is very important. And I think I've talked about most of these. Visualizing energy consumption. Are you okay? I think I touched on that. Analyzing space use. What is this space being used for? Green spaces. Are you okay? In Accra, for example, how many places do we have, reserved for, sporting activity, like parks? Where are the parks in Accra? The park next to where I live, you know, they've been playing football. Most of the guys have been playing football there, and all of a sudden, the owner has come and he's building on it. They wanted to fight, but how can we fight? He has his, land title and everything. He has the right to build on it, So we need to find a way to keep all that information as part of our facilities management. Okay. So you look at it. I remember a civil engineering guy did a project in maintenance of the harbor, Takrade Harbor. That was a very interesting one. He's a civil engineering student, but he so loves GIS. He said, "Say, I want you to supervise my project," and he did it. It sounds more like something in facilities management. Okay, using GIS. So there's a lot in there. We can look at conducting building condition assessments. Okay, where is it safe? Where is not? So you have to just come up with something, and GIS can handle it for you. It's all up to you and how you want to go about it. Impact of proposed building projects. For example, here in the US, you can decide that, or they can decide, the authorities can decide that you buy a piece of land, but you can't build above a certain height. Okay, this is where people are getting to. Not just you give me the land, okay, and then go and build. Are you okay? We shouldn't be. We should go a little higher. We should come up a bit higher. Are you okay? Modeling the impact of proposed use changes. for example, if someone builds a building, a skyscraper beside your house, all of a sudden you will be switching on the light a lot. That means your consumption is going up, electricity consumption. Are you okay? This is what we are talking about. So as we bring the lecture to an end, I want you to understand that there are so many things we can talk about in GIS, and we'll talk about one or two more even before we end, everything that we need to talk about in this class. But the idea is to ginger you and to encourage you to come out with a topic in GIS if you want to, and especially in the COVID era, I think a lot of people have to go for GIS topics. So pay attention, follow it, and then let's all move along. All right, so look at the last one there, visualizing proposed space planning scenarios. Are you okay? Proposed space planning. That means that, okay, if you plan it this way, if you put a post office here, what's going to happen? If you put it here, what's going to happen? All that is part of the use of GIS in facilities management. Is that okay? I'd like to end by bringing your attention to where we are heading towards in terms of technology. I don't know, maybe I have to go and read more on this, but there's something called BIM and GIS. They are two different things, but you realize that BIM is more, actually stands for Building Information Model, and GIS. Are you okay? Now, so BIM, the closest you can get to is CAD, AutoCAD drawings. Are you okay? And then AutoCAD is doing everything possible to make sure that you can assess the attributes, okay, of the objects in the building. Okay, such that I can get to know that, okay, there's a bolt in room number 44, and that bolt needs to be changed after so many, because we think it should be rusted after 20 years. Great. So that is in your building information model. That will be kept in the CAD system, in the building information model software. Now, how do we integrate them with GIS so that probably we can now start doing some spatial analysis? So that is the new area of research. And so, yeah, it is possible then to say that, okay, the bolt is here, but we can also show you exactly where it is in the structure. We know that there's a bolt that costs so much. This bolt was actually designed by this company, Bosch, and yet we can find it in a certain room number. So this is where we are going in terms of research. This is a new thing. All right, so yep, we are ending it here, to be continued in our next meeting. Because the election is coming, it's better we finish, we still meet again, I think Saturday or so, and in the Saturday morning. So we are going to meet